All right, good morning and welcome everyone. This month's topic is going to be focused on the GIS mapping and Salamander identity verification features that are available within our mobile tagging and tracking applications. Traditionally, these features were paid for add-on features. However, at the beginning of this year, we've made both features available at no additional cost to any accounts that have the Tag app and or the Track app. So we really wanted to provide some training to ensure that any app users or any Salamander Live users new to these features can utilize them. So during the training, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can send a message through the chat. I did mute a few of you here. I try to just keep the background noise as minimal as possible. All right. So to understand the GIS mapping and the Salamander identity verification features, it's really important to have a base understanding for how the Tag app and Track app work. So I'm just going to spend a few moments here to review each of the applications. So on the screen, you're going to see it's all about the Track app. So the Track app is an in-field mobile accountability solution that can be used on any Android or iOS device. It can be used to create an event, or you can join an event that has already taken place. Now, once in the event, you can scan the credential of a resource and move them into their specific tasks or assignments. Now, if the credentials aren't available, you also have the option to download those resources directly from your Salamander Live database into the assignments and then reassign them as needed. So with the Tag app is a mobile application that, again, displays the user's personnel record that's downloaded from Salamander Live. So in that record, it's going to include their photo, their qualifications and certification details, which organization they're with, their contact information. In this app, you're also able to generate a scannable QR code that's very similar to the one that's found on your physical ID tag. And that can be scanned into any of our tracking solutions. Not only that, a big benefit with the Tag app is that the user can remotely check themselves in to an event right from their phone, and they can check in as an individual resource or check in as part of a team or collection. And I'm getting some background noise here, so just want to make sure that everybody has muted themselves. Okay, thank you. So the first feature we're going to talk about is the GIS mapping feature. So this feature is available within Salamander Live, and what it does is it leverages the Tag app and the Track app to allow you to see real time of where your resources are located during an event. So how it works is that when a Tag app user checks in remotely to an event, or when a Track app user either creates or joins an event, a colored pin will display the physical location of the user based on their mobile device GPS location. It's going to put that location on the GIS map in Salamander Live. So this GIS map is going to be found on the events dashboard. So every time the device moves more than 50 meters, which is about 0.3 miles, Salamander Live is going to update its location on that map. So each pin, when you click on it, it's going to give you additional information, such as the person's name, their position, their organization, contact information, if entered and available within their profile. And it's also going to include the U.S. National Grid coordinates. So the U.S. National Grid coordinates provides a nationally consistent grid reference system within the U.S. Now there's going to be 3 color pins that can appear on the GIS map. Okay. The first pin that we'll talk about is the red pin. So the red pin is going to basically be the location of the event. So that location of the event can be from the track app or what you set within Salamander Live. So when you create an event through the track app, it's going to mark your device's location of where you started that event onto that GIS map. Now, on the GIS map tile within Salamander Live, you're able to go in there and actually manually type in a location and set that as the primary location. The second pin that you may see is going to be a yellow pin. So the yellow pin is the track app's device location when a user joins an event. So when they join the event, it's going to be a yellow pin. Not only that, if a Salamander Live user goes to Salamander Live and they manually enter in a location and set that location as the primary, so that's going to turn it to a red, what's going to happen is the track app that started the event, they'll actually turn that location into a yellow pin. So that's the conversion right there. And then the last pin is going to be the blue pin. So the blue pin is going to represent the tag app. So the user's device location when they actually remote into an event from the tag app. So again, that's going to show up depending on their location. It's going to move every quarter mile, as meaning this pin will move every quarter mile based off on that user. Okay. When it comes to Salamander identity verification, this is very specific to the track app. So Salamander identity verification provides an additional layer of security to the event by verifying the authenticity of that tag. So when Civ is turned on, so again, you'll see Civ, you'll hear me say Salamander identity verification, or Civ, it basically means the same thing. So with the identity verification turned on, every time that you scan a ID tag, so a personnel ID tag, or download a person using the track app, it's going to cross-reference a few data points to authenticate that tag. So there are about 3 to 5 checks that the system is going to do depending on if that personnel tag is scanned or downloaded. So when that ID tag is scanned, there's going to be 5 tests it's going to verify. So the first one it's going to check is whether that record exists in Salamander Live. Second test is if that tag has expired. So as you know, when you're printing ID tags, you have the ability to set an expiration date for that tag. So that's what it's looking for. If that person has any qualifications expired, it's going to check that. So again, that is set within the person's profile. As you know, when you're setting qualifications for each person, you have the ability to provide that qualification number and the issue and the expiration date. So it's going to look at that. Another test it's going to look at is whether or not their status has changed. So if they're active, suspended, or maybe they were terminated. So you'll see here there's a list of all that's considered as good standing. So active, full-time, life member, other, part-time, temporary, and voluntary. So these are the ones that are considered as good standing. And last, it's going to check whether or not the ID that you scan is the latest printed. So this is the print ID is valid. So again, if someone loses their ID tag and then they get another tag printed, and let's say they come in and they have their old tag printed, it's going to let you know that that's an older tag versus the newest tag. When the tag is downloaded, it's only going to do 3 of the 5 tests. Again, it's not able to check 2 of the tests because it doesn't have that physical ID tag in front of it. So the 2 tests it cannot check is going to be that ID is expired and if the ID is the latest printed. So everything else is going to be the same in this case. Now, if the individual passes all tests, you're going to see a valid or green check mark result that's going to pop up within the track app, and it pops up for a couple seconds. If the individual fails at least 1 of the tests, you'll see a warning or a yellow check mark. Now, during the scan, if a warning should result, the track app user now has the option to either allow or block the person from receiving an assignment. If the user chooses to allow the person into an assignment and then later decides to block them, they'll see this blocked result. And this is going to display right next to the person's image. Now, you'll only see the offline result when you're using the track app with no internet connection. Excuse me. So when offline, the track app is only able to verify the tag and the qualification expiration dates when scanning a tag. If the tag or the qualification is expired, what's going to happen is that you'll see that information displayed within the track app. And at that time, you'll have the option to either allow or block that person from receiving an assignment. Now, so any questions on this before we move on? Okay, no questions. All right, I'm going to pull up Salamander Live and we're going to do the demo within Salamander Live here. All right, let me just pop that up. I'm going to get my track app up and running here. All right, so I'm going to pull up the track app. So here's my track app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an event. So I'm going to call this one as GIS and Civ Training 2. So I've created my event called GIS Civ Training 2. So in this case, you'll know that the off-scene assignment is the only assignment that appears here. So I'm going to add an assignment. I'm just going to just download one real quick here so that we have something to use. I'm just going to add the on-scene assignment. And there it is. I'm going to tap the image, tap the check mark at the very top there. It's going to add that assignment. Okay? So now that we started the assignment within the track app, I'm going to pull up Salamander Live so you can see this. Okay, so I'm going to move this over to the other side here. I'm going to refresh Salamander Live. Should see the GIS Civ training. So if I click into that, that's going to pull up the events dashboard. In the events dashboard, you can of course see a bunch of different tiles in here. One of them is going to be this GIS map tile. I've moved it all the way to the top here so it's easier for us to navigate. For some reason, if you don't have the map app or the map tile on here, it's normally because it's hidden. So at the very top, you're going to go to the tile menu. You're going to click on that, and then just make sure to click on that. Okay? So it should list in here as map. So in this case, you're going to see the pin on here. It's going to be a red pin. If you remember from the presentation, the red pin signifies that that is the event location, either set through Salamander Live or either set through the track app by creating that event. Okay. Now this GIS map, you do have to provide that access to the user, the Salamander Live user. So I'm going to show you guys this real quick here, okay? So this is something that it has to be done manually by the administrators. So in order to see that map tile as well, other than just unhiding it, you do have to add that to that person's profile so they can see that within Salamander Live. So under the person's profile, so I'm just going to click on this one called Training Demo 01. Under Salamander Live, you should see a list of features that you've purchased or have been provided. You should see GIS mapping there. So that was, again, provided to everyone at the beginning of this year. So to allow that person to see that map tile on the events dashboard, make sure you have that selected. Not only that, make sure that that person has access to the events. Okay? So administrator role has it. You'll see that there's these incident management and incident manager roles. Those also have that as well too. So any of the administrative and incident management type roles will allow that person to see that event and events dashboard. Okay. So again, going back to this, again, here's where I'm located. So again, it's doing an approximate of where I'm located. So at the top here, you'll see there's an option for you to type in an address right here, enter a location. So if I start typing in a location, I want to put on here, Mary Avenue South. I'm going to select that. It's going to pull up the map and it's going to show you that location. So you can set that location by clicking Set Location on here. So if I set that location, I'm going to refresh that page. You're going to see that I'm going to see a red pin on there. Okay, so there's my red pin. If I zoom out, because this is our actual Orange Hook headquarters, and down over here is where I'm located, you'll see a yellow pin. Let me go back further down. Refresh that again. There's the oh, what did I do here? Oh, let me set that one more time. Not sure what happened there. Let's set the location. There it goes. So I'm going to set the location. And so in this case, when I join the event through another track app, what's going to happen is that it's going to show another, going to show another pin on there. So with my other device, so I've got two of them on here. I'm going to join that event. Let me log in on this one real quick here. Oh, 1 second here, I apologize. I was doing some testing earlier today, and I had turned off my Wi-Fi on this other device. So let me log back in. Okay, just go in here. Make sure I'm in the same. Change his profile real quick here, I apologize, so that we can see the same information. Okay. All right, so I've provided this user access. So I'm going to join. So if I go back to the events itself, and I select on that event, I should see another pin on here. So there it is. You'll see the other pin right there from my other device that joined in to that event. Okay, and I see a question that popped up on here. Let me go back in here. Okay, so it looks like someone had a question. So only admins can add set locations. Oh, hi, Steve. Anybody that has access to the events dashboard. So that's going to be administrators. So again, any level administrators. So it's going to be administrators, administrators no security, and the org admin, and then those incident managers. So again, they have to have access to the events in order to set the location in here. Okay, hopefully that answers your question, Steve. Okay, perfect. So there it is. We've set the location right here. Here's the track app as it joined the event. Now I'm going to also join the event through the tag app. So the tag app, I'm going to join that really quick here on this end. So you should see a blue pin that's going to populate once it refreshes. So Salamander Live refreshes about every 5 minutes. Of course, you have the ability to auto refresh that or manually refresh that by clicking the refresh button right here. Okay, so let me join through my tag app real quick here. And I'll put my screen over here so you guys can see this. What's going on here? Apologize, having some technical difficulties right here. Go back in here. I had changed some of my logins. I was doing some QA yesterday, and I changed some of my login information, and I did. So you'll see in here what I just did on here. I actually linked a record. So make sure you link a record if you're looking to have someone use the tag app. So yesterday I was testing, doing some testing with roles and other events, and so I removed that. So I'm going to move my phone over so you can see this, okay? So let me minimize this really quick. Here's my phone. So this is the tag app right here. So the tag app, again, this is your identity over here with your profile. This is where you can generate a QR code, but this is where you can remotely join the event. So this is going to pull down all active events within Salamander Live that you have access to as a tag app user. So you'll see here is our event, the GIS Civ Training 2 event. I'm going to tap on that. Once I tap on that, it's going to let me know how long this event has been running for and if there's anybody that has joined that event so far. So far, none has. So at the very top, I'm going to see that join button. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. When you tap on that, if you have a collection created in here, so you'll see that there's that second tab at the bottom here within the tag app. If you have a collection created, when you tap join, it's going to ask you whether you want to join in as an individual or as your collection, and that's where you can select either one. In this case, I didn't have a collection created, so I just joined in as individual. So in this case, it's going to show me that I've joined the event. It's going to check me in right here, and it's going to show that I'm en route. So if I go back into the events dashboard in Salamander Live, I should see a blue pin. So there it is. You'll see the blue pin and a yellow pin. One signifies the track app, one's going to signify the tag app. So there it is. You'll see approximate, so it's in the exact location where I'm at because I joined in the same location. So this is my track app. If I click on that, it's going to show my track app user. It's going to show any profile information on here. Again, it's just that information of their organization and their contact information, and then their USNG coordinates, and you'll see the same thing for Trainer 2 on here. So it shows their organization and that information. Okay. Now, when you're in the map tile here, you do have the ability to put this into full size mode. So if you can toggle it by clicking this button, and it's going to put you into full screen. To exit out of that, just escape, and it just makes it minimizes that. Okay. Any questions on the GIS map functionality? Okay. Now, a couple things to note on here is that with the track app does not the pin does not ever get removed from the event. The tag app, though, once you leave the event, it does remove that pin from the map. Okay? So it does remove that from the map itself. So in this case, if I were to leave the event in this case and I refresh it, so here's the tag app. If I leave the event at the very top, if I leave and tap leave, it's going to remove my pin from this map. The track app, though, if you try to leave it, it's still going to place your pin there. So you see in this case, I've left the event by tapping back. So you see I'm back at my in progress event screen. Once I refresh this page, I'm going to refresh this really quick. You'll see that my pin for my tag app has disappeared. But you'll see that my track app pin will always be a part of this event. Okay. Any questions on GIS before we move over to the identity verification feature? Okay. No questions? All right. Let me move the track app over. So again, as we talked about, the GIS mapping feature is available within Salamander Live, utilizes the tag app and track app GIS locations. Now, Salamander Identity Verification is a feature that's within the tag app. So when you're in the tag app, at the very top, you're going to see that menus icon. If you tap on that, that's going to give you your menu where you can toggle identity verification on or off. So you'll want to do this before the event, and this is going to be user-based, okay? So every user has the ability to toggle it on or toggle it off. So if you choose to leave it off, make sure you do it before the event. If you're going to toggle it on because you want that additional security to see the verification results as you start scanning in ID tags, make sure you toggle it on. So in this case, I'm going to tap back. We're going to join this event. I'm going to leave this on so that we can see those identity verification results. I'm going to join this event. So I added an assignment called On Scene. So in this case, I've got some barcodes I'm going to scan. So again, you'll see this checked in assignment. This is pulled in from the tag app. So the tag app automatically, when someone joins an event through the tag app, it's going to create an assignment called checked in. So that's what that is. And because that person left the event, it checked them in, but then it also moved them off scene. Okay, so I am going to scan some barcodes here. So these are different barcodes that have all different types of, that's going to pull up all different types of results, okay? So I'm going to scan the first barcode on here, make sure that's just big enough for it to scan. So I'm going to put this person into the on-scene assignment. And this is what you're going to see. So this one right here, so Ann Abel has a qualification that's expired. So expired as of last year. So it's going to show you what that qualification code is. So AO Ariel, expired in 5/5/20. So at the top here, as a track app user, you have the ability to either block or allow them. In this case, we're going to allow this person. Okay. So again, it's up to the track app user. It's going to be based off of whether or not they think this qualification is going to be pertinent, it's going to be required or needed in order to do a specific job. So if it's not and they want to allow that person, they can allow that person onto their scene and assign them to an assignment. So I'm going to allow this person. Let's scan the next one. So this one here, same thing. It has multiple qualifications that are expired. So again, you'll see the different qualification codings that appears on here and all the different dates. So again, you have the ability to either allow or block them. Okay, so again, I'm going to allow. Scan the next person. This one right here, you'll see this is a warning due to the status. So this person has an invalid status, is no longer active, they're on leave. So if this person was on medical leave and they're reporting to assist with the event, again, you have the option to either block or allow them. In this case, I'm going to block this person. So you see that Kelly Anders was blocked on scene. Now all these results are going to be available within a report called the Identity Verification Report that's available within Salamander Live. So I'll pull that report up so you can see all those different results. Again, this person has a qualification that is expired. This one here is going to pull up two different warnings. First thing is the identity was not found. So this one here is going to tell you that the identity of this person, meaning their record, does not exist in Salamander Live. So I purposely did this one. I printed off their barcode and then I deleted them from the system. So this basically is going to state that this person was possibly terminated from the organization, and so their record was deleted from there. If this person is still carrying around their ID tag, meaning they didn't turn it in, and they're coming on scene to try to check in to assist, this is where it's going to say, okay, this person does not exist in that database. So again, this is scanning from and looking within the entire Salamander universe, okay? So it's looking in all of the records. So Salamander Identity Verification works for any tag. Does not have to be from your organization. It's going to pull the information from any of the organizations in there. It's going to do those checks for those tags. Second on here is the print ID match failed. So again, this one is going to be for the actual tag itself, meaning that this is not the newest tag. So this is probably someone's older tag. They probably had a reprint, and so they brought their older tag in to get scanned in. So you, as the track app user, have the ability to allow or block them. In this case, I'm going to block this person because this is going to be a little iffy, right? They've got no record and they've got an older ID tag. So I'm going to block that person. Scan this one here. So this one has some qualifications that are expired, but their tag is also expired. So here's that tag expired. So this one's saying that their tag expired last year of August 19, 2020. So again, you have the ability to either allow or block this person. So in this case, I'm going to allow this person, or I'm going to block this person. Tap back. So you'll see in here on scene, we've got our different individuals on here with the warnings. So each one of these have the warnings. You'll see that warning follows them on their profile. Okay. In the track app, you have the ability to take a look at their actual profile if you wanted to see the details. Okay. So for Ann Abel, I'm going to just tap on her name, hold it for 2 seconds. It's going to pull up her profile. In this case, it's going to show the warning on here. So their status is active. Their badge expiration date is in 2 years. And then if you scroll down, you should see that their qualification that's expired is in red. So it lets you know that that person just had one qualification that was expired. And of course on here, you'll see the assignment history and where that person was placed. Same thing for the next person. You'll see all those qualifications, same as we saw before. Same thing with Anel Alexander here. You'll see the qualifications that's expired. So from a block perspective, let's say you've scanned this person in. So let's say, let me go back to Jephthah Adams. I'm going to add another assignment down here real quick. Tap the plus button, add an assignment. I am just going to add that one real quick here. So I'm going to add the Emergency Operations Center. So I'm going to scan this person's ID again to move him to this assignment. I'm going to select the assignment. In this case, I'm just moving him. In this case, if you as a user block him at that time, so again, this person has been blocked. Oops. Go back on here. If I tap it on scene again, you'll see there's the blocked. That's how you get the blocked. So there's now the X with the red circle. So they were originally allowed on scene, but then they were blocked from getting an assignment. When that happens, you'll see that X. Now for off-scene purposes, if you're, not off-scene, I'm sorry, offline purposes, if you were to lose internet connection while using the track app, again, when you scan in barcodes, it's going to just show some of the base information. Okay, so the qualifications, and that's within that barcode, and then the tag expiration within that barcode. Questions so far? No questions? All right. From the download perspective, it's only going to do those 3 checks. So on here, we're in the on-scene assignment. I'm going to tap the plus icon to pull down people from our Salamander Live database. So in here, you'll already recognize that there are check marks and or warnings next to people's names. Now this, obviously, if you're offline, you're not going to be able to download any resources. You can only scan. So in this case, if I was going to add Josh Adams, tap his name. Now for anybody that has that warning on there, there isn't a way for you to actually check to see what that warning is for. Like for example, if I tap Kelly Anders' name, there's nothing that happens. The only way that you can view that is by downloading them, and you can view their record to see exactly what triggered that warning. So I'm going to add Kelly Anders, tap the check mark. There's Kelly Anders, tap his name, or tap her name. I can go in here and you'll see in here that that person is on leave. So if they're on leave, they're trying to check in, you can either go into Salamander Live, change your status, or you can leave that as is, saying that they're just on medical leave, but they're okay to come and assist. In this case, if you want to move them off scene, meaning that they shouldn't be on scene, this is where you can manually move that individual to the off scene assignment and take them off scene. Okay. So any questions on the track app here and on Salamander identity verification? No questions? All right. I'm going to pull this up again. Okay, I'm going to pull up Salamander Live. And in here, we're under the event itself. We're going to take a look at the report. So there's one report in here that's going to show you all the identity verification results. So at the very top, click the report icon. Scroll all the way down. You're going to see a report called identity verification. In this case, you have the option of clicking the PDF or the Excel version. We're just going to click the PDF version here. Once you open up the report, it's going to show you this information. So it's going to show you on here the event, how many IDs that were either scanned or downloaded were valid, how many valid with warnings, and how many were blocked. And then your total identities that were either scanned or verified. I'm sorry, that were verified. So in this case, it's going to tell you right here all the ones that were valid. So Josh Adams, the ones with warnings. And then it will show you even the reasons for those warnings, how many times that were scanned into the system. And then they blocked as well too. Why were they, that they were blocked, how many times that they were read. So it looks like Jeff Adams was blocked 3 times. So it means that in this case, he probably tried to join the event 3 times. In that case, he was blocked. Okay, so that's that report. The other report that you can see in here that's going to show that information is going to be, I need to do that, is going to be the individual detail report. So this is going to be a part of that chart function. So down here is a chart function. Again, you do have to have this in order, or this feature in order to see this. But if I click on the on scene, it's going to pull down this on scene small window for this assignment. In this case, there's going to be these icons over here, these PDF reports for the individual detail report. So in this case, I can pull up Josh Adams, pull up his report, download that, and it's going to show that his result was valid. I can pull up Anel's to show her individual report. So valid with warnings and expired qualification. Okay. So those are the two reports that you can see the identity verification results. Any questions on this? Questions? Questions? Okay. No questions? All right. Bueller? Any questions? No questions? I know that some of the organizations that we've worked with have used the GIS and the Salamander identity verification features for large-scale events, and it's going to be for those that are going to be more that they need more security. So your high-profile type events, this is going to be a great tool for you to use for those types of events. So that everybody that you're scanning in gets vetted and gets verified and checked. Not only that, you'll see their location on the GIS map so that you know that they're in position. Anybody that has used the GIS or Salamander identity verification and wants to talk about maybe a type of event that they've used it at, share some of their success stories with that with the group and how they can utilize that. I think last week we had an organization that talked a little bit about that. I'll unmute you guys. Apologize.
He's on it, man.
Get your Brian. Get him out of the shop. So his brother comes out and says, Danny wants to talk to you on the radio.
I'll unmute everybody again. If you have a question or if you want to talk about how you're currently utilizing these two features, you can just unmute yourself or you can use the chat function as well. I'll just give you guys a minute here. If I don't hear anything, then we'll just go ahead and end today's call. While we're waiting, I want to show you guys Salamander University. This here is going to show this is basically our online library that's going to have a bunch of tools and resources in which you can go in and review this information. So under Salamander Live is where you're going to see the GIS management, so GIS mapping feature. You'll see that right here. And under track is where you'll see Salamander identity verification. Of course, there's a bunch of user guides down here that you can go in and review as well. All right, no questions? All right, next month, hopefully you guys will come back and follow me next month. Next month, we are going to cover how to use Salamander for tracking the distribution of vaccines. I know that's huge right now. There's a lot of organizations that have been opening up clinics and working those clinics for that purpose. So please come back and join me. There was an email that was sent out, or I'm sorry, emails that were sent out a couple times this month, as well as it's available within the bulletin that was sent out last week Thursday. So please put those on your calendar so that you can join us. Can I get a certificate for this training, Need First Aid? Sure, I can send you something. All right. Any other questions before we end today's call? You're welcome, Steve. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being on today's call. Hopefully I'll see you guys again next month. Have a great day. Take care.